So without any further ado, I'm going to throw it over to Francis.
Thank you. Thank you. And so yeah, I'm Francis Thrasher, and I was born, raised in Athens, Georgia, so not too far from here, but through that, I've just grown up surrounded by a very intense art community, as you heard downstairs. And I think just having that, I always from a young age started doing little watercolors, sculptures, stop motions, just anything I could put my hands on. So this body of work has started mostly since 2020 till now, and it mostly began during Corona. Since I was in lockdown, I had nothing to do, and I just started working on oil paintings and watercolors and really just teaching myself everything I do know up until this point, which is a lot of trial and error, but with that I learned from my mistakes. And so during Corona, I put together my first body of work that I had on show in 2022, and since then, I created another body of work that is now in show in the gallery in Athens. But this is a little bit of both. So I have some of my newer work, which are oil paintings like this, and then some older works back here. But I think that with having that time during Corona, I really just taught myself that there are ways, I guess, to deal with, everyday emotions. It was a really tough time. So I think having this medium with painting, it did help to, I guess, solve some issues. And now I've just been hoping to keep working at my art. But I guess I want to go into some details about certain paintings that I really admire. I think if you can, I don't know how many people can see, but this one in the back, there's two girls sitting at a picnic table, and that was one of my first, I guess, paintings that had a kind of a backstory or more meaning to it. And it is from my first body of work around 2020 or 2021. And I think I do really admire having a mixture of feminine energy and some darkness and a little bit of both together to make a little contrast. But this one back there had some things I own from my childhood, little Jack toys and a clock. And a lot of other paintings I have, like this one over here in the back, my computer, and a little purse I used to have. So I really like to incorporate, I guess, things from my childhood or things that I still admire that might hold meaning to me. But most things you see, like the bear, and that green one, I made that little bear, I added extra eyes, and this little music box, something I also have. So I think I have been trying to do a mixture of realism, things that have stuck with me through my life, but then also having this kind of off-looking face or body proportions that isn't fully realistic. So I think I do like that contrast where it's a little off-putting, but cutesy, add a ribbon to it. But yeah, I think, I guess I wanted to go into some meanings. I don't know, it's hard because I have the light meaning to paintings and I have the deeper meaning to paintings that might take a little bit longer. But this pink one behind over here, it is one that is still available, it has not sold, and it is a larger painting around, I think 48 inches wide, but that was one of my first large-scale oil paintings, and it did open up with my new work. That was the first one for my new body of work, and I think having the larger scale, it was like, okay, I can start telling more stories, but more having, I guess, area to express little details that I admire so much in life. But this painting is about my childhood bedroom, a lot about Corona as well, being locked in your room, not being able to leave. And so I have my pink padded walls for, sanity. And I have my little jewelry box with my, a necklace that I really admire, and a little, that potted plant used to be on my bedside table. So I think that one has like my cute things that, keep me going, but then you're still trapped in a room, as well as other ones I have where you're trapped in rooms. But as well as a darker side, on the back of this wall, I have maybe my most intense painting, and it was one that was during my first body of work when I was dealing with stuff. But that painting I made with no intention of anything happening, but Patterson Hood ended up seeing it, and I guess having sat on it for a few years, he reached out and was like, I really love this painting, I think it speaks to me, and he was like, I would like to use it as my new solo album cover. So he used that painting on the back as an album cover for his for his album that came out this time last year. So that was really, really cool to see my work actually come to life and have a really cool community of people embrace me and my work. So yeah, from this point on, I'm just trying to continue painting and putting myself out there. So that's why this show here in Huntsville meant so much to me, because I'm out of my home in Georgia and in a new state. So I'm really happy to be here. But yeah, that's.
Do you consider any of them self-portraits, or all of them some part self-portraits?
None of them really are. I'm never trying to make them look like me, but right, people do say they end up looking like me, and they do all come from my personal feelings and emotions, so they probably do have a little me inside of, right, without even trying.
I also, they remind me of Renaissance paintings in a way, in the fact that everything seems intentional. Like every object seems to be there for a reason, like a lot of the medieval paintings. Nothing seems superfluous and out of place.
Right.
Do you keep a sketchbook and come up with ideas? What is your process before you get to a painting?
Oh, I like that. So right now on my phone, I have just a constant list that I add to every day. I'll see something small, like glass on the side of the road, and I'm like, oh, okay, that might be inspiring later. So I just write that down, and eventually I'll go back to all those ideas when I'm ready to start a new painting, and I'm like, which ones go together? And then at that point, then the idea starts to come, and I realize wow, I didn't even plan to have this mean so much to me, but it ends up speaking to me in ways that I'm trying to communicate and are unable to. So yeah, it's little tiny things that end up building, and somehow a miracle happens, and there's a story to tell. Yeah.
It seems to me that your paintings that I've seen, that the subject is blonde, is more self-portrait. How about the ones that are brunette and other
I did.
hair colors? Would that be someone else?
Right, I think.
Were you a brunette, say, in this one?
I think, so this painting happened first, and I did the brown flower crown, and then without even realizing, I did the exact same girl here. In my head, they look similar, except she looks a little bit worse. She's a little pale, she's a little scary, but she's a little bit better. But I do kind of do these same characters on accident. With oil paintings too, I'll have a plan, and then as I'm painting, it changes and I don't even realize it. But I think that, I think I just really like the idea of having little dolls. I do little I should, right, the little dolls, little cutesy things. So I think having kind of a familiar person that shows up a few times, I think that's just how I like it. And it's not even how I'm purposely doing it. They're just my little dolls. Yes.
Do they start with a pencil, or did all parts of that painting right there start with a pencil?
Yes. This started with a pencil. I did first little sketches, and then this is also a larger canvas. And I sketched it all out on canvas. And with technique, it is all stuff that I've taught myself, but I don't know the exact technical terms, which is hard when I want to go into detail about my techniques and stuff. But I do an underpainting after pencil, and then I go in with, doing details. I normally start with the eyes and then work out. But yeah, it always does start with a pencil, and I'm constantly just sketching little ideas. If it's tiny little things details, I have to sketch them a few times to make sure I'm going to be happy with it once it's time to do the real thing.
And
Yeah.
when you're starting a piece like that, do you already know if you want to work in oil or watercolor, or will that come about as you're doing your sketches?
I always want to work in oil, but I do find that watercolors have like a more, I guess, small, like personal feel to them. But I think when I have the time, I choose oil painting just because I think it's more satisfying, like the final piece when it's like a large oil painting. So that's why I'm deciding to, in my recent future, I want to do large oil paintings, but I will always come back to watercolors because they are just so sweet to me.
And a little technical thing here that I want to do, I majored in illustration. A lot of times it's hard to grasp the oil paintings, especially for reproductions. These are all reproductions. They're so well done. Like, how did you have help with the process of getting the prints made, or is that? I'm just curious how you got such good images off of your originals.
It does take a lot. Like when I go to post them on Instagram, I normally just take a cell phone photo, but when we go to take the overall like photo that we'll document for the future, we use like really nice cameras and have like natural light. And the photo doesn't take long, but editing it to make sure that the color looks right takes so long. And having the print, when it prints, it can sometimes like look a little off too. So it takes multiple prints to be like, okay, is this the right color? And sometimes they do come a little bit more vibrant, but I end up liking it. Like this one back here, it has some gold in that real painting, and you can't get the shine on a print, but I think the way we got it still kind of like shows that it's glowing a little bit and has that like shimmery effect. But
So beginning pencil to final print, you're involved with the whole.
yes, it takes so much to get the color right.
Yes.
But mostly just there judging, making sure it's perfect. Yes, any?
So speaking of your subjects, like the difference, we tell them a little bit about the difference between your first exhibition and maybe like where the name Heaven for the Young came from on that first show, and
Right.
then where we got to with the Uncanny Valley. But really, like speaking of the subject matter, like the piece you used for Patterson's painting is a little closer in toughness to the first show, and maybe a little bit about the people in that picture, if there's any kind of real personal story.
So I guess with my first body of work, I was dealing with harsh, I guess teenage thoughts, that everyone goes through, and having to be alone with them and during Corona, and really not having much of a way to express it without it being kind of a negative outlet. I did start to paint, and with Heaven for the Young, I was dealing with a lot of thoughts about my religion and how I look about life and what's our higher power. So Heaven for the Young was more my idea about no matter what is our future or after everything, there is something that we can all go back to that's childlike and what we picture as our heaven. So that's how I have my Heaven for the Young, and I do mostly paint younger women. But so with that body of work, there was a lot more gore and I guess religious aspects, so it is a bit more iffy, but there's some around here. But most of these are my newer body of work, like this one and these two that do have flowers and dancers and stuffed animals. But behind those dancers and stuffed animals, there are still some darker backstories. But yeah, I think I did just do a little turn and I guess realized that I didn't need to show as much blood to get my point across. Yeah. But yeah. Yes.
With this body of work, you notice that the framing and the matting is very consistent. Do you ever branch out and change your framing to go along with the color of matting or no matting? Or
Yes, I love that.
I love framing.
Yes, actually, I really like that because this one right here, the
I
original.
think it's what this is, but I just was thinking.
Right, the original of this one's actually in a pink frame that I had to hand paint pink because it was in a black frame and I was like, no, it's not going to work. So I painted it pink and it's maybe the same color as the background, so it does blend really well. And I have some of these other paintings, the originals are in old, I guess, Victorian era frames, so I have a very mixed amount of frames in my actual real, or they're not the prints, I guess. They have, the show right now in Athens is a very large variety of frames. I have wooden, and then I have white, like these, and then I have the gilded gold frame. So I do really love experimenting with frames, but with prints, I think it's nice to have a clean and I guess put together vibe. But yeah, I do love to experiment with different frames. Yeah. Yes.
You say you most of this, you've been self-taught, you've figured out. Do you have any desire to go study under any certain people or any certain schooling or anything like that?
Yes, actually, so I've been at, I'm 21, and I'm turning 21 in a month, but I'm still 20. But I've been at University of North Georgia in Athens, or outside of Athens in Georgia, and I've been doing some ceramics and drawing classes there, but I'm officially starting painting lessons at UGA in January. So I'm very excited to finally get real technical terms, and I guess with it being a lot of trial and error, there are a lot of time wasted. So I think with learning from a real skilled teacher, I will have a faster ability to produce paintings, which I am excited for. So yes, I'm going to start at UGA, and I'm really excited to be a painting major there. Yes.
Majoring.
Yes, majoring in painting and drawing in January. Yes.
Do you know, having grown up in Athens, do you know your professors already?
Not all of them, but I do know more professors than students, so it's gonna be fun. Yeah.
And what's the best way for people to follow along with what you're doing and seeing what you've got going on?
Well, I guess I have my art Instagram there, and then on that Instagram I also have YouTube with my little short films, and my website as well is on my Instagram. So yes.
Everybody follow on Instagram.
Yes, Instagram.
I'll say, if you haven't, go to her website, heavenfortheyoung.com, and the paintings are there, but go to the film page and look at the films that she made for the first show. They were part of the first exhibition. And I will say, yeah, the Dollhouse, and
Yes,
she did a music video for Patterson's recent album, which is in the same vein, stop motion animation.
Yes.
But I'll say the movie she made called A Teenage Heartbreak is probably the most powerful thing made by anybody I've ever met.
A little biased, but
I'm biased.
thank
but
you.
I dare you to like, watch it, and well, you'll either call me and say, "Oh my God, is she okay?" or like, "Whoa."
Yes. But yes.
Any
I
other-
think she's definitely.
Yes. It helped a lot.
Any questions for
Yes.
Francis? Well, I guess we're going to go ahead and wrap this up since we do have one more to go. Like I said, February 28th, we'll be back here. Francis will be back here. I don't want to rush anybody, so please come back at any time to see the work, and also on the 28th to see Francis.